Whether you realize it or not, you have a personal brand. And look, in every single interaction you have, it's either working for you or it's working against you. So today, we're going to unpack why those first few minutes of meeting someone are so incredibly critical and, more importantly, how you can actually make them count.
So how long do you think it takes to make a truly lasting impression? An hour? Maybe 10 minutes? Well, the research is pretty clear on this, and it's kind of shocking. It's just 2 to 3 minutes. That's it. That is the entire window you have to define who you are in someone else's mind. Seriously, the clock is ticking from the very second they meet you.
And in that tiny, tiny window, what conclusions are people jumping to about you? Because make no mistake, our brains are literally hardwired to make these snap judgments. It's a survival thing, right? They're sizing you up, they're pattern matching, and they are forming some really powerful opinions, whether we like it or not.
And just look at how deep these judgments go. I mean, this isn't just about whether they like your shirt or not. Nope. In those first few minutes, people are already forming opinions about your intelligence, your income level, even your education. But it gets even crazier. They're deciding if you're trustworthy, if you're credible. All of that is decided in less time than it takes to brew a cup of coffee. Wild, right?
Okay, so those critical first minutes, that's the first glimpse people are getting of your personal brand. But what is a personal brand, really? Let's break that down.
Well, the simplest definition is probably also the most profound. Your personal brand, it's not just your resume. It's not your LinkedIn profile. It is, in essence, absolutely everything about you. Think of it as the complete package.
And when we say everything, we mean everything. I mean, sure, it's the obvious stuff. The way you look, the way you talk, how you carry yourself, of course. But it's also the tiny, seemingly insignificant details. Seriously, the pen you carry, the socks and shoes you're wearing. Every single choice you make sends a signal and helps paint a picture of who you are.
Okay, to really get a handle on the power of these little details, let's do a quick thought experiment. It's kind of like a perception test that shows how one simple item can change, well, everything. All right, picture this. You're in a university lecture. Your professor walks in, someone you expect to be a credible, knowledgeable expert. But then you see it. They're wearing a cowboy hat. Just that one thing. How does that single item immediately change your entire perception of them? Yeah, think about it. Without the hat, your assumptions are pretty straightforward, professional, credible, and expert. But the second you add the hat, suddenly your brain is just scrambling, right? You're thinking, is this a joke? Does she live in Texas? Is she a fan of old Westerns? It just creates this huge disconnect. You start questioning her judgment, and not just her fashion sense. It introduces doubt where there was absolutely none before. And that, right there, is exactly why managing your brand is all about being intentional. It's about consciously choosing to project an image of someone people can trust, someone who is credible and knowledgeable. You just can't afford to leave that kind of impression up to chance.
All right, so the stakes are high, we get that. And we have a pretty good idea what a brand is, but that brings up the big question, right? How do you actually build one? I mean, where do you even start?
And honestly, this is the question that trips a lot of people up. It's one thing to realize you have a brand, but the real challenge is defining it. You start asking, okay, so what is my brand? And then what am I supposed to do with it? Yeah, it can feel pretty overwhelming.
But the answer, luckily, always starts in the same place. Before you can communicate anything to the outside world, you have to look inward. The absolute, non-negotiable foundation of any strong personal brand is self-knowledge. You just can't build something authentic and real if you don't know who you are first.
Really, it all boils down to a pretty simple three-step process. First, you have self-assessment. That's just getting to know yourself. Only after you've done that can you move to step 2, which is identifying what makes your brand unique. And then finally, you communicate your brand to the world. Now, for the purposes of this explainer, we're really going to focus on getting that foundation right, which is all about step 1.
Okay, let's start to bring this all together. We've talked about first impressions, we've defined what a personal brand actually is, and we know that it all starts with knowing yourself. So, what's the ultimate goal here? What's the point of all this work? And this is a really critical point, so listen up. A lot of people hear personal branding, and they immediately think it means being fake, creating some kind of persona. It's not that at all. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's about understanding who you truly are and then being intentional about how you present that authentic self to the rest of the world. And this right here is the key takeaway.
The entire purpose of this whole process is to take control of your narrative. Because if you don't define your own brand, other people will do it for you. And they'll base it on those quick, 2-minute assumptions we talked about. The real goal is to actively control and manage their perceptions so that they see you the way you want to be seen.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Right now, this very moment, your personal brand is out there telling a story about you. The only question left is it the story you actually want to be told?